Hello, thank you today for joining our webinar on revolutionizing your data security with a data risk assessment. Data security has continued to grow in complexity as far as the challenges that customers are facing in securing their data and the different types of threats, as well as just remaining compliant. It's just become very complex. And we are at Forcepoint working very hard to simplify it and to be able to bring it all together into a really tight solution. One of the things about data security that has become an increasing problem is the aspect of risk and how risky data can become in itself and how that poses a risk to the organization. I do want to introduce first, though, we do have speaking Anthony Bennis. He's joining me. He's a product manager for data security, and he'll be sharing a lot on what we're doing around data risk and helping organizations. The first question I want to ask Anthony is, what type of risk does data itself pose to an organization? How does data itself become a risk?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Good question. And hi, Kevin. There are two main types of risks that a company can face in terms of their data management. You've got their sensitive data, their intellectual property type data, and regulated compliance level type data. The big challenge is, of course, is we're all now using these amazing SaaS services, and our data is stored across all these different services. And so the surface vector for managing this data becomes bigger and more complicated. And so getting insight and being able to track where your data is, and more importantly, what type of data you're storing everywhere, becomes really vital to your day-to-day business.
What is it? I'm just looking at this that you're sharing here. You have this aspect of 80% hidden, 20% visible. What does that mean?
Yeah, so we have millions and millions of files, typically from finance to contracts and invoices and POs that we issue every day, to contracts for our own employees and to our customers. You're talking about millions of files that a company, an organization will typically use on a day-to-day basis. Having visibility on all that from a human point of view becomes almost unmanageable. The scale is such that you cannot know where all your files are, or even what's contained in each file. So it's one thing knowing where your files are, it's what data they contain. And that's, volatile. That changes from day to day. If you edit a file and you start adding in some credit card numbers or anything that might be potentially change the kind of, I suppose, the type of data you're dealing with, that's happening in real time. That's happening every single day, every single minute. And just the pure scale and size means that you have a very small percentage of which you actually have any bit of visibility on at any given time.
That's interesting, because if you have this huge amount of data that you can't see, it makes sense that it'd be very difficult to protect. So that I can understand that. One question on that, then, how can someone actually see that kind of risk, that data, particularly that data that's not being used, that 80%, how can they see that risk, the data that data brings to their own security?
Yeah, absolutely. From a human point of view, it's just not scalable. So you need to leverage, data posture security management tools. You need to have tools that can crawl through your various services and create an automated inventory of each of them. But not just that, it needs to have some kind of really intelligence to determine what type of file it is. And not all tools are the same. You need a technology that can identify with a high degree of confidence. A tool that scans all your files, your millions of files, and comes back with a high level of false positives or false negatives, ends up adding to your workload and obfuscating what files and data you have throughout your various cloud services. So what you need is a really powerful tool that can automate that effort for you. And better again, if you have something that you can trigger within 5 minutes, will be even more powerful again. And that's where Forcepoint's data risk assessment comes into play.
Well, that's interesting. So the data risk assessment, what is that specifically?
So this is a free trial that Forcepoint have launched, where we can provide a full data risk assessment. That's a full inventory and executive report on what data you contain. With the DRA trial we've launched, it's focused on the OneDrive data source, but of course our products can go beyond many more data sources than just that. But with the DRA, what we've done is we've given this free trial to customers to run our scans, or AI-powered scans on their files that are contained within their OneDrive account. and come back and create these executive dashboards that provides really key insights into the type of information, whether there's sensitive data that's overly exposed or overly shared, or stored in a location that potentially should not be stored in. It creates and aggregates all this data into one highly consumable executive report for them then to act at a later date or use one of Forcepoint's DSPM or DDR solutions to remediate in the future.
Okay. Now, again, this is not DSPM and DDR itself. It's a version of it or a trial.
Yeah, that's exactly it. What we've done is we've taken the capabilities of our DSPM DDR solutions, and by using those, we've leveraged them on a really easy to use solution. We didn't want something that would take customers days to set up or need professional kind of input to get up and running. What we've done is we've designed a solution that guides the customer through step by step setting up this trial, and it'll automate all the connections and everything out beyond that, so that you have this kind of almost semi-instant access to the reports, once you've completed the step-through wizard that we've created.
Okay, great. So how does this data risk assessment make it simple then to get that version? How specifically, particularly versus if they were to do a full trial version of DSPM and DDR?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think I can best illustrate it by showing maybe how that happens today, typically with a customer who's looking for such a solution, and what we're doing at Forcepoint to really simplify and make it as easy as possible for folks to get their hands on these insights. So if we look at what happens today, typically a customer needs to arrange time with a sales rep, take time out of the day and have a conversation, say, I'm actually interested in getting a better insight into the data I have. I need to get a control of where I'm storing it, what risks I might be exposed to as an organization. And I need this in a kind of a timely manner. So you arrange a time with a sales rep, maybe from multiple vendors potentially, or multiple times for your slots. And that takes time, and that means a conversation, and that might not be exactly what you want to or the conversation might not go exactly where you want to go in terms of what you want to get out of it. Maybe they try and talk about other solutions that might be relevant, but you just want to get your DRA, you want to get up and running. That conversation happens. After you've had that conversation and you've taken time out of your day for that, then there's all these back-end processes that kick off. Usually the sales rep you've had a discussion with enters in a quote into their internal system, Salesforce, whoever it might be. That then goes to potentially an order purchasing department, and then they have to go manually process the quote itself, make sure the invoice is correct. Then once that's all done, due diligence is done there, it goes to a cloud operations or a site reliability engineering team. Then they kick off the services. That takes time. Eventually, our customer who's interested in this service will get an email where they can access the service, in which case they log on, they click on the email, they log on, and eventually get access to what they wanted. It's a timely process. I've maybe slightly exaggerated here, but it can take days with some vendors. It can be really challenging for a customer to get access to these type of services.
Again, I just want to clarify too, this is the process if someone wanted a free trial of pretty much any solution, right?
Yeah, this is just a generic kind of illustration of what kind of hoops you have to jump through to get access to these today. What we've done is we've analyzed every single step of the process that our customers go through, typically with other DRA solutions. And what we've done is we've taken this and thrown it out the window and redesigned the entire process so that it's an entirely seamless, instant process, and that's where the value is. So if you're interested in getting access and visibility on the files stored in your OneDrive account and start that process of getting insights into the data risk that you might be exposed to, you can log on to Forcepoint's website today. You can click on a button. Once you've done that, we'll send you an email within 2 minutes, typically a minute, 2 minutes. You'll receive this email compared to days with a long drawn-out process. And then the product itself will guide the customer through step by step. It takes around a few minutes. Within 5 minutes, roughly, you're going to start seeing insights into the data in your organization in terms of the risk that you're exposed to, in terms of the security posture that's there, in terms of the data classifications that we've done on the files we've scanned, and that'll keep going beyond that. But within minutes, you'll see immediate value from this DRA.
Oh, great. And then how long is this DRA last as far as the overall period? They start it within minutes, they see something happening, and then what happens?
Yeah, the DRA itself, we've given around 2 weeks, 14 days to get a really good time with the solution. Not everybody has instant, to go through in detail the reports will generate, but so we give you 2 weeks. Within that 2 weeks, from the moment you've got access to the DRA, our crawlers will start scanning and classifying and identifying risks on your OneDrive. And that'll continue for the full 2 weeks. We have two approaches. We're scanning files at rest. We're looking at ones you have already. And then as you edit your users edit files or upload files or manipulate files, we're also detecting risks emerging and near real time there. So as you change the content of a file, we're reclassifying and we're updating those dashboards and dynamically as those changes occur.
Great. So setups in minutes, but then they'll have 14 days, a couple of weeks to actually use the DRA. Yeah. And then the outcome is, and they have that report. I think you shared a bit of that. So looking ahead, as far as if someone wants to use the DRA, they want to try this. Are there any kind of issues that need to be considered? Anything important that they need to know ahead of time, as far as what to do with getting this going?
Yeah, there's a few things that would be really helpful to know up front. One, we give the DRA trial to your OneDrive, so you need to have a OneDrive account for this to be obviously of high value to you. Otherwise, we can provide a proof of concept or a subscription to our DRA or DSPM, excuse me, or DDR solutions. But for the DRA, it's OneDrive. We have started, because we just launched this, Kevin. We've started with English language files, and that's one area we're focused on. So even if you're not in a country or an organization that speaks English, there's still value there. Just to point that out, a lot of firms will have legal files and other files, help documentation, maybe invoices, all in English. So even if English isn't the first native language of the customer, I believe we can still provide you value and insights, using this. But it's worth knowing that that's a constraint of the trial itself. It's 14 days. We've mentioned that already. It is time limited. And although we don't limit the number of files you can scan, so whatever files you have in OneDrive, we'll continue to scan those over the 14 days. So we don't limit there. So in terms of the value you get back, that risk assessment report, that continues to scan all the files you have. So we don't limit that, which is really important.
Okay. So English only. It's a 14-day trial. You can set up in minutes. It's all OneDrive. The other thing, as far as with is there any particular rights that the person has to have as far as to be able to use the DRA?
Yeah, so in order for us to crawl through the files in OneDrive and classify them and do what we need to do, you need a certain amount of permissions. So for that, we require an account with global administration privileges in OneDrive. That allows us to do what we need to do to provide you with the insights you need. Some caveats I should really outline here. We don't store, Forcepoint does not store your Microsoft credentials, nor do we store any of your files. We scan and destroy. So there's no permit or file retention on our part, nor there are credentials. To be very clear, Forcepoint is a data security first company. We take data security and privacy with the utmost seriousness, as you know. So this is something we've built into this trial from day one.
That's great. So again, global security admin rights, they need to have global admin rights. They need that for OneDrive. The other aspect, as far as how we handle the data, we do have a trust hub, and in that we do have a document that's all about how we secure data with the DRA, so that you can be completely confident that this is secure in terms of your data.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That's
okay, great. Are you able to show how it works?
Yeah, I would love to. Let's jump right in here, and I can show you from the website registration right through to the product itself, and maybe some initial reports being generated when that completes. So let's dive in here. Here we are on forcepoint.com, and this is one of our websites where you can, or one of our pages where you can register for the trial itself. It's a small form. You just give us some information on who you are.
Okay. And again, this one, they can get to it by going to forcepoint.com/DRA, I believe.
That's correct. That'll redirect you directly to this page here, and you can start entering your details.
Okay, great. Not a lot of stuff to have to
no, it's straightforward. And you just click the sign up button once you've that selected.
This is a SaaS solution too, right? Just to kind of point that out.
Yeah, so this is entirely SaaS. This is, nothing needs to be installed locally for this to run. Entirely managed by the cloud.
That's great.
Which is great.
Okay.
So what I need to do now is wait for my email from forcepoint.com. It usually, like I said, takes between 1 and 2 minutes. If it's not there, do check your spam folders just in case. But within 1 to 2 minutes, you should receive an email from ourselves.
Okay, great. So they receive the email, and then from that, what will they do next?
So I'm going to hop into my email and click on the link, and then we're going to go to the Data Security Cloud platform, which the email brings us to.
Okay. Great. So you got the link from your email, and then it sends you to, where's this?
So we're here on Forcepoint's Data Security Cloud. This is our cloud service where we bring all our services and applications together. And this will host our DRA. So I'm just going to do a first-time registration with the platform. Set my password here.
Okay. And it's looking for you as well. I guess if you have this link, you can just fill this in, you'll be able to get in, right?
That's correct. Yeah, exactly
Okay.
that. And just note there are fields here. You can ignore these. These are pre-populated for you. You just click confirm. We do run the service out of our Frankfurt data center, just in case anyone's interested or concerned about where the service is actually running. But like I said, we don't store any of your files there.
Right.
Okay. So now that I've...
This is the login you just set up.
That's it. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And it knows you and it lets you in.
So it's authenticating me now. This is the first time logging in. And you'll see here it's loading the DRA product itself. Yeah, yeah. It brings you straight to the step-through process that we have here. So I've got 3 or 4 screens to click through to connect to my OneDrive data source.
Good. So this is how you'll initiate the initial scan, and then be able to start the classification. You have to connect first to the OneDrive.
That's exactly it. So before you connect, it's just letting us know about those points we raised earlier. You need global admin. Then we continue with our connection here. It's going to bring me to the Microsoft authentication flow in a moment.
Okay.
And I'm going to enter in my details here.
Okay, so you add your credential. This is your global admin credential for OneDrive.
Yeah, exactly that. And I'm signing in directly to Microsoft. This is not going through Forcepoint service here. And I just need to put in my 2-auth authentication code.
Great. So you do the authentication, and then the next step is you're in, right?
Yeah, so it's Microsoft has allowed me to connect, and we're now kicking off the process of scanning. There's a few things happening here as we connect to the OneDrive service. So the service is just getting set up in the background. This takes around 30 seconds, I think, to fully get the Microsoft connecting to our services, Microsoft OneDrive to connect to our services.
Great.
Yeah, so once you've completed the scan here, I'm just going to walk through the wizard, Kevin, and I'll talk you through those options in one moment.
Sure. So now you're starting the scan. You've started it?
No, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to click the top level folder for my scan. So I select my root folder. You select one here. You can add others later after the scan completes. This is your initial one. Maybe you want to start with a smaller folder and build up, whatever you want to do. So I've selected the top root level folder. Now it's going to start scanning once it starts getting the first batch of files there.
Great. Now that one folder you chose, is that the only folder you can scan from, or is that just a start? What's going on with that?
That's the initial root folder. I can, within the UI, after this process has completed here, I can start adding additional folders and it'll scan those as well. So you're not limited to that first choice. This is just to get you started and have a preliminary look.
Okay. So you can continue to look at other folders within OneDrive.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You can add as many or as little as you wish.
Great. Okay.
So what we're doing here is we're scanning the files at this point in time. We wait around 1 to 2 minutes. to create the initial report, because we want to build up some insights first. What we could do is, or what we do is we wait for the first batch to be processed and show an initial dashboard. It'll have a small number of files to start with. You'll see here, it's telling us that the scan is still in progress. It's continuing to scan here, Kevin, but it's giving us some initial insights immediately so that we can start building up a picture of our data posture. I can actually jump to a report that's been running for over 10 minutes and show you some more data if you wish.
Sure.
Okay, so here we are, Kevin, on a report I've run previously. This has been running for over probably an hour at this stage. And you can see here some example of the insights that the data risk assessment report can give our customers. This is to your question earlier, what are these menus here? So we've divided between DSPM and DDR. So our DSPM dashboard, that's focused at your files at rest. It's doing an inventory and a scanning of all those, looking at what files maybe are risking your compliance, and other executive summaries there for you. If you jump to the DDR dashboard, you're not going to see a lot of information right now. Maybe in this one you might, because this is looking at files in use and files in motion. And so unless I'm actually doing something with the files, this is not going to reflect anything there. So in your first experience, when you register for the DRA and you're looking at the dashboards, do expect this one to be 0 initially. It's when your end users start using the files and editing and modifying, that's when this is going to start showing results there. The scan, like I said, continues over the 2-week period. So that will continue to build up a rich picture here for you to delve into.
Great. So this shows that this data in use. So initially, after 10 minutes, you're not going to see much. Throughout the 14 days, you should see something if users are able to access that folder. The initial dashboard, it's interesting as far as you already can see the PII files. You can see how many are highly confidential, how much PHI, PCI. Are you able to click into any of those?
Yeah, you can click in and you can see all the files we've scanned. You can, for example, if I go to the files overview, for example, you'll start seeing a full inventory of all your files, the classification that our AI mesh has defined for those, such as, and then looking at the kind of data types that have driven that classification, some compliance tags. And you can click in and see the file itself here if you wish. It'll extract it from OneDrive.
Yeah, so the compliance tag column, so I see PII 1.00. What does that represent?
Yeah, so the PII 1.00 is telling us that our AI mesh has detected personal identifiable information with 100% confidence. It gives you that insight into the threshold of detection and classification.
Great, great.
One final thing I just want to highlight in terms of this product is, the trial is 14 days, but if at any stage you want to extract the insights that we've generated through the data risk assessment, we do have an export option. You click on that and it will generate a PDF, and you can download that and save it in your files for review later, for which you want to remediate some of those actions.
That's great. So you have that option throughout the 14-day trial. You could also, at the end of the 14-day trial, that you'd want to definitely try to save that. That would be great information. Good. So while they're using the DRA, what kind of help can they get if they run into problems? How do they get through that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So to get help, we've built in this contact support form here into the product itself. And so you can immediately contact Forcepoint with any questions you have. You might want to talk to somebody, or you might want more information about the trial itself. Whatever it is, this is not just for technical support. It's for any kind of support or information you want as part of your trial experience. So we do encourage you to use this mechanism and reach out to Forcepoint. It's just a matter of typing your message here.
Okay.
And then click submit, and that will go to one of our folks behind the scenes who are watching this channel, and they'll reach out within roughly around 24 hours business hours to get in contact with you and follow up on any questions you might have.
Okay. Is there any other things that are provided for them that they can get help as far as on scan issues, or how to set it up, or any of those things?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a number of resources made available on our website, Kevin. And so there's a number of videos that talk you through the various parts of this product or solution. And you just click on those. We kept them as short as we can, so they're quick and zippy to the point that you need to find out.
Great. Yeah, those are on YouTube under Tech Talks, Forcepoint Tech Talks. And so they can find a playlist of different things that hit some of the issues. So that's a good source as well. And then this contact support is an excellent resource. So if you have any problem as you're going through, they can just ask right there, get a pretty quick response, which is great. What about as far as any kind of Forcepoint expert reaching out, any kind of contact that they can have personally? Is there anything there that they should be looking for?
Yeah, so we have our sales folks fully integrated into this process. So after maybe around 2 days of registering, we have asked them to reach out to our customers, just make sure they have everything they need. This is not a pushy sales conversation. This is,
Yeah.
are you okay? Are you happy with your DRA? Is it working as you expect? Have you any questions? One of those conversations. Make sure you're getting the full value of your free trial. And then
That's great.
towards the end of the trial itself, there's a follow-up to make sure that you've got the experience you expected, and any follow-on questions you might have or you want to talk to our sales rep about, you can have that conversation towards the end. They'll advise you to export your dashboard as well, for example, to PDF, and give you that advice. But an excellent then conversation would be to start talking about how you remediate the risks that we find in the DRA, and we have some excellent solutions to make that as easy as possible for our customers.
Great. So they get a personal, someone will reach out to them personally. It's not a big sales push like Anthony, like you're saying, and they can have at least a contact they can reach out to, a human being that they can get help with.
Exactly.
The other thing too, then, as the 14-day trial is over, so they get through that, what happens next?
Yeah, so when the trial ends and they've exported their PDF dashboard, they'll have a conversation with the sales rep, and then it's really in what the customer it wants to do. You know, maybe that's it. They find they got the insights they need. That's fine too. Or they want to explore more data sources. They might want to explore further capabilities that we have here. So we're very happy to arrange an extended evaluation with the full products themselves, or DDR or DSPM or both. That can be arranged. Or they can talk to our sales reps about various other solutions that we have around data security. But certainly I would encourage, if this has provided value to you and you're seeing the risk there and you want to get more of that, have a look at the DDR and DSPM solutions themselves, evaluate those or purchase those, and get the real insights across all your data sources that you work with on a daily basis.
Great. Well, thank you, Anthony. And for for you to be able to start this DRA process, watching this webinar, please go to forcepoint.com/DRA. You see that down below on this slide, and just click into that, and you can start the steps that Anthony was just sharing with you, and be able to experience in minutes what's going on in OneDrive as far as the risks, and then be able to experience the 14-day trial and get this started. Again, thank you, Anthony, for just a really insightful webinar. Really appreciate this introduction to the DRA. And we also want to thank you watching, and really look forward to working with you and helping you through this DRA process.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Kevin, and thanks to everybody watching.